when graphing a radical function, we're going to use a table of values to plot our points. So here in our example, we have the function y equals the square root of x plus 6 plus 1. So I have 5 different x values, and I'm going to plug them into my function to get the y coordinate. So I start with negative 6, and I'm going to plug in negative 6 plus 6, and then plus 1. So I start by adding the 6's underneath of my square root. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0. The square root of 0 is 0, and then I add 1 to it. So I'm going to have a coordinate point at negative 6, 1. And I'm going to repeat the process for the remainder of the numbers. So I'm going to plug in my negative 5 plus 6, and then I'm going to add the 1. So I'm going to add negative 5 plus 6 to give me a positive 1. The square root of 1 is 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So my coordinate point is at negative 5, 2. And I'm going to plug in negative 2, 3, and 10. Once I plug in and evaluate the remaining 3 points, I get negative 2 and 3, 3, 4, 10, and 5. So I'm going to plot these 5 points on my coordinate grid. And once I have all the points plotted, I'm going to connect them to create my root. Now that I have my graph, I need to identify the domain and the range. And the domain and range for a square root function like this one is all dependent on the starting point. So my graph starts at the point negative 6 and 1, and it continues off to the right and upward. So that's going to help me figure out what my domain and range is going to be for this function. So if I think about the x's, since it is starting here at negative 6, I don't have x values of negative 7, negative 8, negative 9, and so on. Those values are undefined. If I go in the opposite direction, I have points for negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, and so on down the number line. So my x's are only getting bigger from that starting point of negative 6. The same thing is happening with the y coordinates. My graph is growing slightly upward the further it goes right. The graph is not growing down to these negative values. So I'm never going to have a y coordinate of negative 2 or negative 5 or negative 7. I'm only going to have y coordinates, and they're only going to be bigger than where it started at positive 1. So my y's are going to be bigger than or equal to that starting point at 1.